Well, for more on the latest diplomatic and military maneuvering, we're joined by Andrij Dobriansky. He's head of UN Affairs at the Ukrainian World Congress. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So we're seeing more diplomacy, talks by world leaders. Andrij, how do you view these talks? Do you think the international community is doing enough to put pressure on Ukraine to not invade, to put pressure on Russia rather, to not invade Ukraine?
Yes, I think we just saw this week that the Security Council was brought into this discussion. I don't think we saw enough of the leadership on the Security Council, and unfortunately, Russia is chairing the Security Council this month. We'll see next week as nations again discuss this. This time, all the 193 member nations will be discussing exactly what is happening in Ukraine. And I think given the announcement today by President Biden, given the intelligence being released day by day, as well as the cyber attacks, I think that it's time for the rest of the world to act in unison to prevent a horrible humanitarian crisis.
And what would that action be? How can they act in unison to prevent such a thing from happening?
Well, first and foremost, the areas of the West where Vladimir Putin and his underlings have parked their money need to be exposed in the West, and that money could be sanctioned and frozen almost immediately. We need to target the inner circle of Putin because he is really a leader that does not care about the welfare of his people. If you see the statistics, the way the average Russian standard of living, their lifespan has decreased steadily since President Putin came to power. So what we need to do is target the things that he cares about most, which is his personal wealth, as he is practically the richest man in the world. And then from there, we do what the Western Alliance has done, which is not cater to the demands of Russia, but instead, as NATO, all 30 nations of NATO said when they met with the Russian delegation, Russia needs to remove its soldiers from Ukraine, from Georgia, from Moldova, and any other nation where they're in illegally.
Andrij, it must be so difficult to process the facts on the ground because the numbers are so confusing. We have competing intelligence. The US says there are now 190,000 Russian troops on the border. Russia says it's drawing down. How do you navigate this information war?
Well, it is an information war. However, it's also been named the TikTok war, I believe, because we are living in an age where we don't need to rely simply on governments to tell us what the information is. We have citizen journalists who have access to radars, to satellite images, and they can determine how many units have been moved from week to week. We also have people with social media postings across the Ukrainian border and as well as within the Russian military, giving away positions, giving away troop movements. So this is something really that in real time, as opposed to what happened in previous world wars, in real time, we're seeing the buildup and the potential for what could come.
So much to look, and to be careful about. But Andrij Dobriansky, we thank you for your time and insight.
Thank you so much.